Hi guys, and welcome back to In His Image. Oh my goodness, it's been so long since I've been able to say that, and I am excited to be back. I hope you guys are excited too, because we have this series to finish. So without further delay, let's get to it. So often, due to various experiences and even our own insecurities, we are led to believe that we are not enough. The world tells us that we're not pretty enough, we're not smart enough, we're not this enough, we're not that enough. But actually, that's a lie. That is a lie from the enemy. And today I want to help us debunk that lie, which leads me to the title of today's episode, I Am Enough. Say it with me now. I am enough. So I don't know about you guys, but vulnerability is something that I have struggled with for years. Now, I'm a very open and forthcoming person, but there are certain areas, certain topics, certain subjects that it takes a bit more vulnerability. And I'm like, because if we talk about this, I'm gonna cry. And if you know me, you know I'm a crier. Like, I don't know what it is, but the slightest thing and I'll be crying. It's like my body just doesn't know what to do with itself, and that is how I express myself. So I might not even be majorly sad about it. Like, I'll cry if I'm angry, I'll cry if I'm sad, I cry if I'm happy. I'm just a crier. But that is something that I have found embarrassing over the years, because I've also seen crying or tears as a sign of weakness. Now, of course, I know that that is not the truth, but in reality, sometimes it feels that way, and it's hard to open up in that way with other people, especially people that you don't necessarily know. But this is something that over the years God has been challenging me on and helping me to grow in, because he's helped me to realize that that same vulnerability that so many of us are afraid to show, so many of us are afraid to display, is where strength lies. It's in vulnerability that connections are made. It's in vulnerability that we get to know each other. Literally, we are waiting for someone else to be like, this is me, so that we can then be like, me too. And then that's how the connection is made. So we know that there's strength in vulnerability, but what does it really mean to be vulnerable? To be vulnerable is defined by the dictionary as being exposed to the possibility of being attacked or harmed, either physically or emotionally. It is from the Latin vulnere, meaning wound, and vulnerare, to wound, that we get the word. And so in a nutshell, to be vulnerable means that there is risk of being wounded. Now, when I heard the word wounded or wound, Isaiah 53 verse 5 came to mind straight away, and it says, "But he was wounded for our transgressions, he was bruised for our iniquities. The chastisement for our peace was upon him, and by his stripes we are healed." Jesus was wounded, which means that he was in a vulnerable position. God put himself in a vulnerable position. He wrapped himself in human flesh and came down to meet us at the very point of our need. For indeed, we do not have a high priest who cannot empathize with our weaknesses. We have one who knows exactly how it feels. We have one who was tempted just like we were. So Jesus' vulnerability shows us that we too have to be vulnerable, because it's in that same vulnerability that relationships are formed and connections are made. People are waiting for us to be vulnerable. They're waiting for that open space to know that actually this is a safe place and I can be truly, authentically myself around you. It is this same vulnerability that God has challenged and been challenging me on. A couple weeks ago, I was having some devotional time, and I was doing a devotional from the Bible app, and there was a particular question on this day that said, in what ways have you felt not enough today or this week? And immediately I had a flashback to an experience I'd had a few weeks prior. Now, as a singer, I often find myself around a lot of other singers, as that's just how it goes. But one of the things that I sometimes struggle with is comparison. I find myself comparing myself to sister so-and-so, comparing my voice to theirs and thinking that my voice was not good enough because it can't do or sound the way theirs does. And then I realized, actually, that's a lie from the enemy. That is a lie straight from the enemy. And in fact, it's a lie that he wants me and even you to believe. Because if I believe that lie, if you believe that lie, whatever the lie is that the enemy may be telling you, it means that we won't do what it is that God has called us to do, because we're too busy caught up in thinking about ourselves and believing the lie. It paralyzes us and keeps us where we're at. And so God began to actually show me the truths instead, taking my focus off of the lie and bringing me back to the truth of his word. And that's what I want to help us do today. Let's start with this quote from President Theodore Roosevelt, which says, "Comparison is the thief of joy." Now, people have varying opinions on this, and some say it's not, some say it is, but I'd like to submit to us today that it is, from the basis that if I am so busy comparing myself to Sister Susie, I lose out on the opportunity of enjoying and living with and in the joy of the discovery of what God has placed within me. I am unable to recognize the beauty in the gifts and the talents that He has given to me and He's given uniquely to me. Yes, I may be able to sing and you may be able to sing, but the way I can sing and the way you can sing is very different because we are unique individuals, right? So, we know from Genesis that when God created man, He said that we were very good. And in order for us to see this very good, we can't be so busy looking at others. Instead, we must be in tune with and focus on the gifts and talents that God has bestowed upon us in order to fulfill our unique destiny and purposes in the earth. Let's look at that. So we know that God has created us unique. We are all unique individuals, and I think sometimes we might forget that. But because we are unique individuals, one of the things that we have to remember is that my purpose and destiny on the earth is going to be completely different from yours. And that means that God has gifted me with particular gifts and talents that are fit and suitable for my destiny and purpose in the earth. He has equipped me with everything I need, and that means that those skills, those talents, those gifts that I have are going to be different from what now. In my case, and even yours, it could be comparison with others who are seemingly doing the same thing. But even that is a lie. Just because you sing and I sing, it doesn't mean that we are called to the same people group. There are tones and nuances in my voice and in your voice that can't be compared, that can't be mimicked, and that are unique to us as individuals. Our gifts are unique to us, and they reflect that uniqueness that God has created us with. Ephesians 2:10 states, "For we are His workmanship, His own masterwork, a work of art, created in Christ Jesus, reborn from above, spiritually transformed, renewed, ready to be used for good works, which God prepared for us beforehand, taking paths which He set, so that we would walk in them, living the good life which He prearranged and made ready for us." This is our identity. We are God's masterpiece. We are His work of art, which He took time, care, and consideration to craft, to mold, to shape, to create, and to purpose us to fulfill the destiny which He designed us for. The world encourages us to live from a place of striving, constantly striving to reach or achieve the next best thing. We fail to see the beauty and fruit in our current position and state. We forget that life is a journey and say things like, "when I get there" or "when I arrive." But we forget that as Christians, our ultimate destination must be to be with the Father. There is no point or time in this life where we could say that we've arrived or we've made it, because actually earthly gain and profit cannot be our focus. Our focus has to be kingdom. Our focus has to be on the things above. Yes, it's not to say that we can't have visions. We can have visions, we can have dreams, we can have goals. They are amazing because, what would life be without them? But in saying that, they cannot be our sole focus. They cannot be our first focus, because otherwise we've got it wrong. Our focus has to be on things above. Matthew 6 verses 19 to 21 reminds us to store up our treasures in heaven, where they cannot be corrupted or destroyed. It also reminds us that wherever we store our treasure is where our heart lies. Whenever God blessed an individual, He didn't bless them solely for themselves. He blessed them so that they could be a blessing unto others also. So that gift, that talent, that whatever it is that you've been sitting on, that you've been thinking is not enough, that is not good enough, that can't be used, that is just something small, I challenge you to look at that again, because actually that is a gift, that is a blessing that God has given to you so that you can then be a blessing to others. I want to remind us today that we truly are fearfully and wonderfully made, that what God has placed within us is good. And in fact, it's not just good, it is very good. He has placed a destiny and a call upon each and every single one of our lives. And the enemy would seek to deceive us into believing that what we have, what we have been given, sometimes even who we are, is not enough. But I'm here to remind us today that that is a lie. I want you to know that you are enough. You are enough. You are enough. Please don't allow the world to make you think that you are not enough, especially because you don't look like them. Truth is, you're not supposed to look like them. You are set apart. You are a chosen people, a royal priesthood, and you're supposed to look different. There should be something different about you. And when people ask, you should be able to say, oh, that's just the God in me. The only person you should be trying to look like is Jesus. And even then, the way you reflect Jesus and the way I reflect Jesus will be different because we are all created unique. So that brings us to the end of today's episode. I hope you were encouraged, I hope you were informed, and I hope you're ready for more. As always, please don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And if you have any questions, please feel free to leave a comment down below or send me an email. Before I go though, don't forget, the world needs you to be uniquely you. Until next time, take care.